Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Goodbye, yellow brick road. Goodbye, Norma Jean. And it seems to me you live your life like a candle in the wind. Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Goodbye to you. Welcome in, everybody, to the final episode, unfortunately, of the Creed of Crypto. I am Bon Voyage Boy Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok. A little bit of a somber mood tonight, unfortunately, because it sucks to be hanging it up. But between the two of us, it's something we've kind of talked about for some time. Just a lot of real life things obviously going on, and obviously the last few years haven't gone exactly the way that either of us had hoped, in the cryptocurrency world. So I know we're not alone in that, but we'll kind of get to that towards the end of the show, before we do our kind of final sign off and talk to you guys about where to go from here. But welcome into everybody in the chat. Nonetheless, we have Checks My Pulse in here, Hammy2289. Welcome to you. Viper Styles, Valiant Low Key, a lot of our normies here. Not to say that you're normal people. I'm sure you're not at all, but our regular viewers. Don Swan, The Rat, one of my favorite names. Pulse Tides. I like that. So welcome to all of you. Happy to have you here. We're going to get to a lot of stuff tonight. We've had Hex, a token that no one's really talked about since 2021 has been kind of pumping here the last few days. We're going to look into that and how EHEX and Hex on PulseChain have been getting a little bit closer in price, which is very interesting to see. We'll check any updates with the Provex price chart, obviously PulseChain, the ecosystem as a whole. Some interesting macro news happened today that we used to look at as a positive indicator that probably won't be now because nothing ever ends up being anymore, but we will see. And a lot more. We have BTC and ETH, kind of looking okay today, which usually means tomorrow they will go right back down. So, Ewok, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday, April evening? We are now in the month of April now, and I know there's a special day for you coming up soon. So, anyway, how are you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. Another week. It's funny looking around the internet today just to talk, what are we going to talk about? You don't know what you can believe, what you can't believe. So it's been an interesting day. But yeah, I'm hanging in there. Still crazy busy with work. So my attention has been kind of elsewhere anyway. The prices aren't helping, but just going through the motions.
Yeah, I hear you there, busy in the everyday life for sure. Yeah, so let's just kind of get right into it. We'll see where we get here. We got the rat buying more Hex. Good to hear. We'll talk about Hex here in a moment. But let's just jump right into the markets, not waste any more time. If you guys are here, do us a favor, hit the like on your way in. Peg the like, preferably. But BTC and ETH right now. So a little bit of a positive move up. We have BTC right now. It touched a very nice 69K as early or last night, I believe. Right now, we're a little bit over 68K. Ethereum getting up towards that magnetic number of around 2150, which is good to see. That's a pretty key number, and it was closing over that for a few days last week before it decided to shit the bed once again and go down below it. But here we are at it again. We'll see if it is able to turn that back into support and maybe move up. And, not just with Ethereum, but Bitcoin as well, Ewok. Looking at this from a little bit more of a zoomed out perspective. So October 2025, Bitcoin new all-time high, 126K. October 10th, the death knell happens. It drops to like 108, 106K. There's all these liquidations. It was actually the largest liquidation event in cryptocurrency history, if anybody can believe that. And a lot of us, I guarantee if you go watch our streams at the time and a lot of what other people were saying, it's like, oh, this is we've been wrong in every goddamn narrative that we've, espoused over the last few years. And don't worry, all the commenters are letting us know in the videos that we put out. But so has a lot of people. But the kind of narrative then was like, okay, this is kind of a reset button on the bull market. We got all this fake liquidation flushed out. And now we've got the real buyers in and we're going to move back up. That couldn't have been further from the truth. So I think by November, we lost like the 95K support. And then, of course, 2026 has basically been a shit show. I mean, from January to March was basically the complete elevator drop down. It's really been about down only for Bitcoin since October of last year. I mean, you can see, as Ewok is illustrating now, we've had a couple different little flag outs here before dropping even further. And that's really where we've been. And that's why even the bearish people have expected some sort of bullish, not bullish, I should say, but like a good recovery at some point in early 2026. I mean, a lot of people, even the bearish people, are like, we'll probably get back up 85, 90, 95K before we continue the bear market. We've still not had that. We have not had anywhere near that aggressive type of a move. I think even recently, you'll be able to see on the chart here, Ewok, but I think we got into maybe the mid 70s recently and came right back down, maybe 73. And yeah, we just haven't had that, even a bear market, strongish rally or anything. So it stands to reason we would get one eventually, or maybe we just totally continue down. Obviously, just to set the stage, I mean, most people are expecting the standard bear market first year of a 4-year cycle this year, and that we're going to see the actual lows in Q4 of 2026 between 35 and 45K BTC. There's a fraction of people out there that believe the bottom is already in at about 58K, and I get where they're coming from. I mean, again, look at this; it's been down only for basically 6 months. So you would think that we have some upside, but who knows? Haven't been right about anything for a while. So what do you think about where Bitcoin is, Ewok, and where we may go in the short and long term in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this. I just measured it. The biggest downturn here was 125 days, 52.5% drop since October, whatever that was, October 5th. And down to measured that bottom so far. Anyway, I hate to call it a bottom, but I mean, so far on February 7th. So yeah, 125 days of nothing but down. But as we said before, the drop usually goes a little bit below the previous all-time high. So the setup is here. Again, I don't know if this is just, we're catching a dead cat bounce here. Each time it goes down, it does try to make a little rally and falls even further. So, the setup is looking very similar to the last little run up that we had back in, early. Well, it started in November, tried to gain some strength all the way to about the middle of January before it plummeted even further. So, it's getting about, so let's see how long that was from from the recovery until the fall, about 70 days. So let's measure this one then and see where we're at now. Yeah, only 57. So, if it holds true to look anything like this one, another 20 days, maybe 15, 20 days to see what happens. If it continues to get stronger, then there's a likelihood of it bouncing back up. But again, this trend line here that we're kind of holding into now is important, whether it stays above it or breaks through it and we go to another lower level. So, I mean, right now, again, it's looking stronger. However, this one looked like it had some strength too. So, yeah, it's just really hard to say. And then when you look at, Ethereum, you're seeing a very similar pattern. Obviously, they stay together for the most part. So, let's check out the ratio.
It's crawling up a little bit more, I saw.
Yeah, the ratio looks stronger too. Now there wasn't really that much of a run up before. And I mean, well, obviously this was the strength, but this was back in August of 25. So from August or from June through August, it made a nice run in the recovery, but it's holding, consolidation here at least. And growing ever so slightly. Again, I think we've got probably 15, 20 days before the market decides what it's going to do. If there's any strength, it will probably take off a little bit. But what are you laughing at?
Just the chat. No, I'm just going back and forth with some people in the chat.
Oh, okay.
No, not you.
Okay. I was like, what? But yeah, no, that's really all I have. I mean, again, there is some strength showing here, but what it does, we have to kind of wait and see till it plays out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's encouraging to see that the ETH ratio is creeping up there a little bit. But I mean, we want to see a more substantial move than this. This is really just trying to get out of shit territory. I mean, in past bull markets, we had that at what, like 0.08 or something like that, like over a 2x at least of where it is right now. So we're nowhere near anything. And really, I think you want to clear 0.05 before we're probably feeling kind of bullish again. And and that's about a 2x, a little less than a 2x from here. So
for the ratio you're talking about, I think the high was over 9.
Maybe. Okay.
It was almost 0.1. So was it more than that? Yeah, it was over that. Back here in 2017, it had hit 0.15.
Oh Jesus, I don't know it was that high. Okay.
Yeah, that was July of 17. So as the run up kind of happened or was starting to happen, the bull run of 17, they got pretty tight actually. It was a really nice run for Ethereum.
And that was before Bitcoin's all-time high that year too, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we're not going to see, I know you'll disagree with me, but I don't think we're going to see even remotely anything near that ETH BTC ratio ever again, probably. But I mean, if we can even get up towards 1 again, I mean, like I said, we're hoping for even over 0.05. So we will see. Just hoping that it continues to crawl up there. And then lastly, I don't know how hard it'll be for you to find the others BTC chart like we've been talking about. Yeah, so it's continued to hold up nicely. I mean, here's what you have to consider. I mean, you could look at certain time frames and see that it's down or something, but keep in mind what we just talked about to begin the show. I mean, Bitcoin for the last 6 months has basically just gone right down the shitter. I mean, it's been down only. I mean, if you zoom in, I mean, this is dating back to the beginning of alts, basically. But if you just look at this last year, basically, EWOC, by looking in here, I mean, so from October, if you go to, you're a little bit too far back, October of last year, like right around here. Now you see the drop from there, but I mean, this year so far is where the real drop happened, like all of 2026. And others has basically held up against BTC during that time. I mean, usually they go down. If BTC is going to drop, what did it drop? 50% or something like that, 40%.
52, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, alts are going to drop an infinite percentage or something. So I mean, they really haven't done that, and they've held up well comparatively. So it's not, you're not going to look at it and see like, wow, this chart is up only, but it looks like it's recovering, and the fact that they didn't get absolutely ravaged and murdered beyond belief in that is actually kind of crazy. So really what I'm talking about, like, I know you're measuring that and we can do that. I'm talking about the little flag portion down at the bottom, like basically just from where Bitcoin really dropped. Like,
right. Well, so when Bitcoin dropped here, that was October, or wait, no, that was the peak, right?
Yeah.
The peak October 25th. If you go from, I wanted to measure the overall from the top here down, and it wasn't quite 50%. It was like 40, 48. This is this flag, the one you're talking about, this bull flag?
Basically just look at 2026 so far. Like,
Okay,
see February there? Like, go to the bottom of the last big red down
here
and
here.
Hang on, my screen just entirely exited.
This is December. This is December 7th, 18th, where I'm at.
Forget 2025. Just this last, see the straight line of the chart just for the last few months here. So in February is whenever Bitcoin like lost 70K, went into the 60s, and all this time. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we've just seen others hang out right there and actually creep up a little bit the whole time. And again, that doesn't look like some crazy move, but Bitcoin got murdered during it is my point. So
yeah,
it's interesting to see that. What this would do if Bitcoin, went to 55K, went to 50K or lower, like people are expecting. I mean, I can't imagine this would go up or shoot up or anything. But if you saw it just continue to flatline, I mean, that would be pretty encouraging just to see like how much sell pressure is left in these. But famous last words. So
yeah, well, we'll see how it holds up. In the coming, like I said, the 20 some days, and see what happens when Bitcoin goes down. Now, usually this is market cap. So overall, a lot of things have ties with Bitcoin as a pair. So, it can hurt the market cap itself, because the value is also tied a little bit with liquidity to the Bitcoin price. So, unless there's a black swan, some coin that takes off and goes crazy by itself, this will probably kind of just hold steady with that.
Yeah. Yep, I think so too. But good, we're grasping for anything here. We are max cope, looking for anything that looks positive, and that's one of the few things that does. One of the other things that does, which again has always been a bang on great indicator for like where we could see risk assets and Ethereum and altcoins go, is the business ISM PMI reading. So since today is the first of a new month, we have the March PMI stuff that just came in today. If you want to bring up one of the posts I sent you on that, I don't know if I sent one or two. But yeah, our friend the Grand Inquisitor posted just in, the U.S. ISM manufacturing PMI came in at 52.7, which is huge. I mean, that's over 50 is considered expansion. Over 52 is extremely bullish usually. So 52.7 beating the expectation of 52.3, which is moderately significant, but either way, being over 52 is usually a very good long-term sign for where we'll start to see money flowing again. So yeah, I don't know about his bullishness, like you said earlier, about is altcoin season next. I don't know about that, but it is good to see this. This is now a trend. I mean, it's definitely a trend. It's 3 months in a row over 50. I think it's at least 2 over 52, because I'm pretty sure February was 52 as well. So it's good to see this come. But again, we've already had people, over the last year, we've seen the like Bitcoin decouple from the macro liquidity cycles and things like that, and people showing how that used to be correlated and now it's not. And already people are ready to dump on the PMI, and that's the Bob Lucas a few weeks ago called it the biggest cope in crypto, which I think is interesting. Out of all the things to choose from and all the things he's probably called the biggest cope in crypto, I can't imagine PMI is actually the biggest one. But yeah, so I mean, it's good to see regardless. I mean, even we desperately want altcoin bags to do something other than go directly down here soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good. It's also just good for the country. I mean, it is good to see that people are, at least being surveyed that businesses are expanding. You know what I mean? So despite all the doom and gloom and a lot of horrible stuff going on, because that's what news is going to obviously focus on. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's stuff that we would rather not be going on. It is good to see these indicators. I mean, and I think if you're anybody, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, Ewok, holding any investment right now, literally, I think you probably have a pretty good set of balls or ovaries on you, because this is just a very stressful, trying time. And I mean, we've been in like probably the deepest, darkest of any of these assets, obviously, over the last few years. But with everything going on, war tensions, the tariff stuff that have happened, Trump saying some new crap every single day, just constant crazy stuff. I mean, any asset that you're holding, you have to ignore the fearful feelings, I think, at this point to continue holding. So yeah, what do you make of this reading? And yeah, again, whether you're holding anything from stocks to crypto, I think you have to be pretty brave.
Well, yeah, I agree. And the bear season is when the people that end up making the most money are buying. Buy when there's blood in the streets. People are be greedy when people are fearful. All those sayings are true, provided the market comes out of it. That's what has to happen. And the other saying is that the volatility is the price you pay for the massive gains that the type of coins that we like, PulseChain and things like that. Volatility is the price you pay for the gains that are so outsized from any of the others. The other ones don't come down near as much, but they don't run as much either. So he says alt season next. Well, as we know, alt season only happens after the regular season. And we've got to have that regular season. We've got to have those money inflows happening. Bitcoin does have to turn around, Ethereum especially. Ethereum is the key, and I really wouldn't care if Bitcoin didn't really go over 150,000 ever, as long as Ethereum did. And that's what our ecosystem and a lot of things are tied to, because we are a fork of Ethereum. So that's the main concern. I don't think alt season is next, but I do think that things are setting up still. I still say this. There's a lot of positive things. Once the Clarity Act plays out, once all of that stuff and the banks, decide what they're willing to allow. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. The banks are making these choices because they don't want to lose their business. And unfortunately, the lobbyists are paid by them. So it's huge. And I think that's what a lot of the holdup has been, is there's really no clear resolution yet to any of this stuff and how it's going to play out and where the money will flow when it does come in. There's already been approvals of most things and most assets being tokenized at some point. And I still think that, Ethereum is one of the few that could handle it. They're not going to put it on PulseChain. They just won't do it. But Ethereum has been battle tested, and I do think that they could eventually tokenize a lot of assets on Ethereum. So, that would be so beneficial for everybody, for us especially. And, it just takes time for that. But, yes, you do have to have cojones to go through these parts of the market. There's no way around it. Very few people get in, and their first exposure is a low, right? Only because when people hear about things, it's always the top. It's when everybody's talking about it. It's when your cab driver's talking about it, and you go into get your hair cut, and your stylist is talking about it, and people like Elon are talking about Doge and things like that, it always happens at the top, and that's when people get their most exposure to these things. So, you know, it again, it's the price you pay for being in a very highly volatile asset, and not many people stick it out. We couldn't have everybody make it through without some people just capitulating and getting out. It doesn't work that way. You have to lighten the load. You have to make it so that it can move. And when it does move, those people buy back in and they chase, and that's what chases the green candles. So that's just unfortunately where we're at.
It's a good point. I mean, a model where everybody wins is like the stock market, which is whatever 8% return a year. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you want something where you can feel good when your bed hits the pillow, then you can invest in the stock market, and hey, it's good. It's a nice little nest egg safety net, I guess. But then you also ask, how safe is it? Because you're not even beating inflation really at the end of the day, usually.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's however you look at it. But yeah, unfortunately, we've only seen the volatility to the downside for a very long time now. And I will say, to your point too, I think the Grand Inquisitor's being a little bit facetious when he's saying like all season next year. But I mean, he is genuinely a very bullish person. But it usually is about a year to a year and a half once this flips like this, once we start to hit expansion, which we're 3 months into now.
Mhm.
Historically, it has been, 6, 12, 18 months until the, euphoria bullish stuff would happen. So does that mean that we see something in, by 2027 or deep into 2027? I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, it's a good sign. It's a sign that has worked before. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition this time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, if you guys are enjoying the sunsetting final stream of Creative Crypto, do us a favor and hit the like button. We appreciate you being here and appreciate all of you guys that have been here over the years. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 4.5 years now, actually, basically from the top of the last bull market to now. So
5.
Yeah, well, 4.5. I mean, it was September of 2021, so that'd be about 4.5 years now. Yeah, yep, going on 5. So shout out to all you guys in the chat. Appreciate all the comments tonight. Very good stuff. Let's go ahead and move into the PulseChain ecosystem and see where we are. Well, I will tell you, last week, if you are interested in buying any of the coins in the PulseChain ecosystem, you were able to buy them. Actually, it might have just been a couple days ago, really, for the lowest price in their history for most of them. So congrats to you. We have PulseChain right now and there's been a lot of volatility here. I mean, I've seen this thing, down at the new low, which I will get to probably in the chart in a minute, which is maybe 50771. I don't know. But right now we're at 507,664 for Pulse. We got PulseX 506053. Inc is at 35 cents. Hex at 1.4. And EHEX, which we'll get to, is less than a 2x away from parity with Hex. There was a time when this thing was 10x lower than where Hex is right now. So keep that in mind. So yes, if you've bought both of them equally or given any kind of weight really whatsoever to EHEX over the last year or two, your EHEX bag probably looks kind of decent, not USD wise, but maybe compared to the other Hex bags. So, hey, nobody's victory lapping anything here. It's not at parity. We don't know what this will hold long term. But I mean, you and I, Ewok, have bought them both basically equally and refused to choose one and go down that road, which a lot of people went down. And, we can revisit that conversation here in a moment. But just looking at the prices, the fear and greed of the ecosystem, what direction do you want to take it here?
Yeah, well, fear and greed's coming up. We were down. It was it 5, 7, something like that at one point a couple weeks ago, single digits. It is all the way back up to 32, which is a positive, looking thing. Let's look at I want to go to the PulseChain chart. The downtrend still has not broken. And we will look at that low that you were talking about here, which was Low. It actually made it under the 7. So it was 5 zeros, 6983 was our low here on Dex Screener anyway. It could have been different on a different exchange or whatever, but yeah, but we are seeing, and well, let's look. I saw Sami had said something. What's this? 8 months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive red candle months, which is brutal. It's just brutal. There's no you can't sugarcoat that at all. So now the good thing is that more and more people are getting out. I'm seeing more whales and wallet watcher people say this person is almost out. They have very, very little left, and it's been happening over and over again. One of the interesting things, with the sacrifice setup that we have seen in this ecosystem that varies a lot different than a lot of other regular coin launches, is that all the money came in beforehand, right? Which really does a number on your buy pressure because people aren't interested. They've already invested. And all they're willing to do is unload it. So whereas if there's a company that has a new launch and people are super excited about it, they launch and it takes off because it's got all kind of buy pressure. Instead, we have the opposite where everybody's already bought. All we have is sell pressure. So, it's a huge difference, in launch tactics or styles. Even Hex used buy pressure for 365 days, 360 days with the adoption amplifier. So each day there was fresh capital coming in. And when you do a sacrifice like this, you really have the opposite. So unfortunately, you've got to flush out the weak hands before I think anything even remotely gets close to happening. So
52 years to shake out the weak hands.
52 years, 52 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been quite longer than that. Where are we at? Is this the monthly chart? And
we're going on 3 years, so that'd be what, 156 weeks or something like that.
Let's take it from here. How many months is it? 25 months, 2 years. Yep. I mean, I'm not even including this first little dip here. This was March of 24. So after it had already launched for almost a year, another 2 years of down. So, it did have a nice little run up here at the beginning. And I think that's when the SEC stuff happened? March of 24?
No, it actually was 2023. No, that was like August, September of 23 is when the SEC stuff came down. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep. Well, either way. But yeah, again, I think we're going to see this continue a little bit. I don't know how, when you look at the daily chart, these levels, there's still some support there. Somebody had been defending, the previous levels of the 7 number anyway, and holding up strong. And we've kind of gotten back to that number again. So this, looks like, again, it does look like there's some support, somebody defending, can't let it get too out of control. I don't think without some sort of defense put in there, but how long can that hold up? And that's the problem that you end up seeing is just the constant sell pressure. Now we do have three days of green candles currently, which is good. It's not complete sell pressure still, but I just think more people have to get shaken out, unfortunately.
What do you make of this comment directed to you? Ewok, with all due respect, keep in mind, he said, with all due respect, I'm trying hard not to call you a boomer, but we've been flushing the weak hands how many years now?
Well, that was my point. we don't have any buy pressure. There was $1 billion invested into these tokens, and um, it all happened before it launched. So you can call me a boomer all you want, but I know when there's no buy pressure coming in and it's all sell pressure, that was a lot of tokens that were distributed to people. Some people had millions of dollars invested. And they've been nothing but sell pressure. There's a lot of things that have been sell pressure. Look at the validators. They get yield, they sell. I love the guys at Internet Money Wallet, but their time token is a reward in Pulse, right? So the more time that you own, the bigger portion of the Pulse rewards that you get. Those are negative price pressure as well. They've got to keep their company, their developers, in business too. So I mean, it's just a lot of sell pressure, unfortunately. And there are so many heavy-handed wallets that were made when the sacrifice happened. So unfortunately, it sucks, but there's no other way to see it. It's just the constant dump pressure. Where is it coming from?
Now let's chill on the ageist stuff here. I care. Let's be careful with the ageism. But no, something else you said.
Well, I
there
do
too.
have a birthday coming. You mentioned it earlier. I'm getting older on Friday. I have a birthday coming. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. We're getting
I'm still Gen X. You can't call me a boomer though.
okay. Well, we're getting the final plans ready for Ewok's exit from this earth here soon. But to go further on your point, so yes, you're talking about, oh well, there was like $1 billion sacrifice, yada yada yada,
Yeah.
and playing devil's advocate, one might say, okay, well, where was everybody saying that back 2 years ago or whatever? Why were you guys saying, oh, I wonder if this will do 100x and stuff like that? Well, it isn't just what you just said. I mean, it is a large part, and we know that even more in retrospect now after having it played out. But this also is a market, and again, I'm not saying that PulseChain is, like Richard Hart's forgiven of everything, or something like that. But Ethereum never hit a significant new all-time high.
Yeah.
So there was no altcoin season. There was no Ethereum season. Yes, Ethereum hit a new all-time high. Yes, it's better than anything PulseChain really did this cycle. But I think large part of that also was that, Ethereum really needs to wake up for a huge alt season to happen. And again, I think there are interested parties who hold a lot of Ethereum that wanted to help put that into this ecosystem that purposely never did it, because things never really got that frothy in the bull market at all for Ethereum. So keep in mind, it's not just the sacrifice set. It's also that we just witnessed a cycle, if you will, that did nothing in terms of Ethereum or altcoins compared to anything we've ever seen before. So we basically got a Bermuda Triangle shoved right up our ass. I mean, you got
that. You got the SEC. You had the red notice. You had there was just thing after thing after thing. Also, not to mention Ethereum not doing anything. You had all those other, anomalies that happened as well. So it's crazy that we had the trifecta of just bad luck. So,
yeah, even more than a trifecta. I mean, but the biggest one of everything, I mean, if you were ranking them, I think it's Ethereum and altcoins never really doing anything is number one. I mean, that's like, if there is a cake here, that is the batter, that is the cake. But you're right. I mean, you are right about the sacrifice set. I mean, that probably put some limitations on the ecosystem that we didn't realize. And I mean, let's face it, there were people back when the PulseX sacrifice was going on when they were claiming it would do a 14,000x. So, I mean, that was always pretty stupid, I think.
In their defense, that's what Ethereum did, right? So, and to think every dollar, for the most part, had 10,000 units attached to it. So $1 billion times 10,000, that's how many units are out there. So quite a bit of market. And we still haven't seen a bull market. Once the prices started to tank, everybody else's coins have had really not a whole lot of value. So the market has been broke. There isn't buy pressure. Nobody's got the money. And that's why you saw what you saw with Provex just recently, only getting $16 million total.
Right.
So, it's a clear sign that people just don't have the money. So, again, Ethereum being down is probably, you're right, the main reason, but that goes across the board, right? I mean, that triggers everything else. The other markets, the altcoins, doing X's, and then people transferring money into things like this. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well said. So we're looking at PulseChain. We're talking about the entire ecosystem. Let's look at that EHEX chart, if you would like, Ewok, because that's kind of the main topic we were going to get to, and that's been the talk of the ecosystem here over the last week, is seeing Hex on Ethereum really go up in price, OG Hex, or whatever you would like to call it at this point, but seeing it really close the gap on Hex on PulseChain. And we'll get to this in a moment, but also a sort of, if you will, a crop dust attack where we are seeing, I guess, and we'll get to the post in a minute, and I'll get your take on it, but we're seeing Hex whale or whales of some sort sending out Hex on Ethereum, Erection Hex, thanks Bitfinesse, sending that out to random large Ethereum wallets. I think it's probably targeted, I'm not sure, but sending out free Hex tokens that they did own to other Ethereum wallets. So we're seeing that. I think we've seen the amount of EHEX holders like at least triple. I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating. Okay. And okay, so, and we'll show that, but you can see these, this green dildo right here for EHEX over the last week or two. And it's really come up. And just to kind of set the stage for what had happened here, if you guys were not around for this, I think you probably were, though. So 2023, PulseChain launches. And I think the first big argument, this is back when people were actually like here in the ecosystem and excited about crypto. Most of these people are gone now, and I'm not even exaggerating. But that's when the first large kind of battle began of Hex on PulseChain or EHEX. There was a couple people that I think they were just doing it for engagement. They didn't really care. That's why they're gone now. But they were saying, no, the real Hex is the one on PulseChain. You sell your EHEX for PHEX or whatever, forget about it, cut that leg off, move over to this ecosystem, which we never, ever felt was the right move, even up to and including Richard Hart, who said, it looks like the market has chosen Hex on PulseChain, which I still would not have made that post if it were me. I mean, I'm not the guy that created PulseChain, but still, I don't think I would have said that. Now, all he did was just make an observation. He didn't say you should sell EHEX now for PHEX. Now, when he did that, which I believe was like early 2024 at this point, there was a huge red candle, obviously, for EHEX against Hex on the Hex ratios. And just recently with this move, which is why it's so significant, EHEX has totally recovered that move. It's back above that zone now from almost 2 years ago. And there's been people that have kind of, stated like, let's just forget about EHEX entirely, focus on Hex on PulseChain, pretend the other one doesn't exist, yada, yada, yada. We've always thought that was a really, I hate using the word dangerous, but like just dumb take, honestly, because you've got an intro into the ecosystem. Everybody already knew this Hex chart. It's on Ethereum. There is chart history. It's an easy way to get into, something that Richard Hart had already created. And it's an easy way to get into PulseChain. I think Johnny Chaos has had great takes on this. He's kind of said the same thing for these last couple of years. Why choose? Just buy them both at whatever prices they're at. And that's what you and I have done, Ewok. So really interesting to see it recover this. Why do you think this is happening? I guess I would say the fact that it is now only a 2x, not even, to parity against Hex. And if you didn't hear what we said earlier, it was at one time 10-1. It was one Hex for 10 EHEX at one point. So pretty insane that it's made this move. So why do you think this is happening?
Well, first thing that you were talking about was the mass distribution The last I saw, and it was probably 5 or 6 hours ago, that there were over 3.5 million holders of Hex now. The reason that's happening, and the reason it's happening on eHex, is because people check their wallets. These things will show up, and a lot of people be like, huh, what's this? Obviously, a lot of people know what Hex is, but the ones that don't make it curious. There was, we'll get to this in a second, but um, I think it's just another marketing tool. Again, when Richard says, or whoever is doing this, it may not be Richard, but all ideas are pointing in that direction. That if one thing doesn't work, I'm going to pivot, right? You try things, and if they don't work, then you move on and you try something different. People like free stuff. That's how it was given out in the first place to Bitcoin holders, which I kind of feel was a bad idea because a lot of them just sold it. But anyway, freemium is a thing. Bitfinesse just said it. Freemium is what got him into crypto, Richard into crypto, with the click of a button with Bitcoin back when you could mine it and mine your own blocks for 50 Bitcoin blocks. So all you had to do was click a button, and you got the reward. So he likes freebies. He likes handing out freebies. And it's done on Ethereum because, again, that's where the majority of the wallets are. This is an easy on-ramp to PulseChain. I still feel that the two of them should reach parity. There's no reason. It's the same token. It's the same everything. The only thing that changes value now is the T-shares. One has a little bit higher of a T-share per price per hex. So, it would make an easy bridge. It would make for, you could bridge both over back and forth, and you would have, in an equal swap. You could swap them on Uniswap. You could put them over on PulseX. All you have to do is bridge back and forth between the two, and it automatically changes it for you. So I think it would be so beneficial to everybody to have the same price. There is enough liquidity to do it. There's enough there to make it happen pretty easily at this point, especially with the low liquidity. So again, still my opinion that the Hex is Hex. The contract is the same contract. Yes, the T-share price is a little bit different, but for all intents and purposes, they should be the same price. Now, when the price of Ethereum gets up there, it does cost more to stake and unstake on Ethereum. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But that is the price you pay for the busier network. So, yeah, just my rant. Oh, here's what I wanted to show. There was a post that was made by, I believe, Crypto Solve. Here it is. This was, I believe, just the other day. And he said there were 5,000, this was early, 5,275 wallets that received $1 of Hex as part of this process. We just ran the stats. 30 wallets interacted with their free Hex. 20 of those sent it elsewhere. 8 wallets sold it. 2 wallets actually purchased Hex. One of them purchased 1 million. The other purchased 8,336. Both wallets have subsequently sold again, but Hex clearly occupied at least a bit of mind share for those 2 wallets. Haven't run stats on the millions of wallets that received 1 Hex. That's a little too intensive to pull and analyze, but it's worth noting that 30 wallets have seen and done something with their free Hex. So I thought that was cool that, he did a little bit of a, deep dive into some of the wallets that got at least $1 worth. So the ones that got just 1 Hex, I think, one of the things that people have always been taught is if a weird airdrop that you aren't familiar with ends up in your wallet, you kind of leave it alone, right? It's
Right.
it's not really worth it to do anything with it, because it could be some sort of keylogger or some sort of
You never know.
you never know. There's a lot of risk involved with that. Now, if they look at it, they look up the contract, and they do look into it, they'll realize that it is legit. Um, I like the idea of sending a dollar's worth, at least at this point, to get things in people's wallets. It's almost like, is this a precursor of something that is coming? It makes you wonder, why would we put all this in people's wallets? Well, because if there's a plan to do something with the price, you want them to see that that's going up and going up and going up. Every time they look at it, it's worth a little bit more than it was the last time. So it's quite interesting. I like to believe that it is a precursor to something possibly. Again, he's pivoting and trying something to see what works. So just thought it was pretty cool.
Did you want to share? I don't know. I think it was Crypto Coffee's post about the crop dusting as well that I sent you. I don't know that it was anything really new that would be revolutionary to add or not, but yeah, just somebody's dusting one hex to 1 million top addresses on Ethereum. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to read that picture of the hex airdrop that he posted there, but yeah, I can't see that at all. It's okay.
Well, that was Ben Sierra that had posted that.
Okay. If it's not much more information, I mean, we don't have to get into it. I think you kind of covered it, but
I can read it if you want me. I can just kind of highlight it if you want.
Whatever.
It says a heartfelt welcome to the new 1 million hexagons. Now, when was this? This was several days ago. This was March 29th. So I'm seeing a whale distributing small amounts of hex on Ethereum, like 1 hex to more than 1 million, including Binance deposit wallets via the Ethereum token distribution app Disperse.app. This is taking hex holders to 1.3 million. And as I just said a little bit ago, we are at 3.5 million now. So that's how quickly they've been doing this. So I tracked down where this is coming from, and your mind will be blown. The current fourth biggest hex wallet on Ethereum is doing this distribution. The hex funds can be tracked back to the address D58E, which has insane amounts of AA lobby activity and received its first hex on January 21st directly from the adoption amplifier. It's staked exactly only during Big Payday, disregarding a canceled stake recently. This address was funded by Tornado.cash. Additionally, the ETH funding on the current distributing wallet can be traced back to someone being funded over Railgun. Find some of the addresses below with some links. I've given you all the puzzle pieces. Now put it together. What does this whale think will happen to Hex? So
it's very interesting. Yeah. Interesting tactic. I mean, I think trying anything at all at this point, it's not going to cost you very much, and it's money you don't mind departing with. I mean, for anybody doing anything, I think it's great at this point. We've seen so many different marketing attempts and things like that. Obviously, the big thing is just wanting the market and Ethereum to turn around. But in the meantime, yeah, try everything there is out there to try. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. And really just honestly cool to see eHex come back. And what do you think of kind of putting a pin on this after this? What do you think it would mean if they did reach parity? Like, we've never really seen that since this chain's been in existence. This is as close as it's been in the existence of the chain since the very beginning, basically. What would it mean? I mean, it seems pretty significant to me. I mean, once you have Hex at parity, you get things like, I don't know, DAI at parity, like, PDAI on PulseChain. Maybe it hits parity. Just throwing random tokens out there, but yeah, I don't know. What do you make of that, and how big of a thing would that be? And marketing as well. I mean, it's pretty significant, I think.
Well, when you have equal hex on both sides and you control the majority of that, it's possible, right? When you have some of one on the other and in a different coin and hardly any on the other chain, it's very hard to do what you're saying with PDI. But it would mean that the confusion is gone. So many people looked at this is like Hex. I see Hex here. I see Hex here. It's too confusing. I don't know which one's the real. So
Yeah.
it eliminates a lot of that, right? Hex is Hex. And that was my point earlier, is that if you can equal them out and be very, very close, once they're close, you can put an arbitrage bot in without much of a problem and bond them so thick with liquidity that it wouldn't matter what you did to them. You could buy as much as you want and it wouldn't affect it, because the arb bots would take care of transferring it over and buying it up on the other side. So it's just, I think it would eliminate so much confusion. Hex is Hex, and then people, instead of wondering which one's the real one, which one's the forked one, it doesn't matter. Then I think they look into the staking part, right? The staking part is what locks up the coins, what drives the price up, because it takes so much of it off the market, and it does become rare again. So ultimately, I think it is the best thing to do for it. I know there are people out there that are like, well, this whole thing was, PulseChain was created for Hex because of the fees. I get it, but to eliminate that confusing part of which one's the real Hex and why did they abandon this one? What if something goes wrong on PulseChain? Will they abandon that one too? It just it gives a bad look. It puts a lot of questions out there that don't need to be out there. So I just think for the strength of the entire the market share of PulseChain, I think it's best to tie it to it. I mean, it would create so much strength. So
I agree with you. You want to avoid that confusion as much as possible. And that's across a lot of crypto, honestly. I mean, you look at like how many tokens is it like, well, somebody created one on Solana and then somebody created a version of it, and I think we want to limit that as much as possible. And I do think them being at parity would be a huge step in that direction. So, Hex is Hex. It doesn't necessarily matter what chain you have it on. I mean, maybe you would prefer to have the PulseChain one, but as far as it and its value and the staking mechanism, it's really just coming down to the fees on whatever chain that you're on, and you can buy EHEX on PulseChain. I mean, anytime we have, well, I know have, when I've DCA'd into EHEX, I've just been buying it on PulseChain. So, I mean, you can do that as well. So, I think that's very important. And to the point you made a minute ago, that's why I think so many people were misguided trying to say, no, Hex is the real one on PulseChain. Don't worry about EHEX, because you cannot, for a whole ecosystem, especially from like the founder the whole way down, just say, oh, no. Like, I know that's the one that did a 10,000x and stuff like that, but that was like the one from last cycle. We don't pay attention to that one anymore.
Right.
And I understand there's like Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, proof of work or whatever the hell, POW and all that. But you just can't do that, especially when, Hex did a 10,000x. You're just going to let that, like, well, no, that was just bullshit and we don't pay attention to that chart anymore,
Yeah.
I don't think that makes sense to do.
And it seems like they've fixed, Wesley here even said it. Looks like they've fixed a lot of the fee problems. Now, obviously, the network hasn't been near as busy as it was during the Hex staking, NFT, all the other contract craze that we went through that drove up the price. But they have fixed a lot of bandwidth issues and, that all the problems that they were having that were driving the fees up. So,
and you do make a good point, Ewok, and Viper Styles echoed it here. If Hex is Hex, then PDI and DAI is just DAI. So that's a good point by you to bring that up about PDI. So appreciate that.
Sure.
All right. So we will, hey, this is an interesting saga. I'm all for EHEX pumping. Hey, let's have EHEX become the more expensive Hex. That would be fucking hilarious. I would love to see that happen and see what kind of scramble that would put people into.
Well, and it's possible. How many people dumped all their EHEX, it's gotten to be in a lot more solid hands. I think the people that flip-flopped and tried to ratio trade it, and they're the ones at the beginning who were talking that it was terrible, because that's what they did, right? That's what you do, is you talk about the thing you hold the most, and you talk shit on the thing you just got rid of. So it's funny how that works.
Yeah. Yep, maybe we'll see some of those people come back out of the woodwork and start having debates again or something like that. Wouldn't that be interesting to see all those people that have been gone for years now suddenly come back? Maybe one day if we ever pump again. So cool. Well, awesome to see this from EHEX. Very interesting conversation there. If you guys are enjoying the stream, do us a favor and hit the like button. We appreciate you being here as we do, unfortunately, wind down the creed of crypto. But, I know we were looking at prices and stuff for a while. I think we have to look at the Provex chart, too. We haven't really gotten to any Provex talk tonight, and we have seen it dip down into what people that want to buy are really looking at as an opportunity. Of course, there's most of the people out there are ready, willing, and waiting for it to drop over 90%, because that's what every token Richard Hart launches does, they say. And hey, maybe they'll be right, maybe they'll be wrong, I don't know. But you spent a lot of time earlier, Ewok, talking about the launch of PulseChain and PulseX, how there was a raise of nearly $1 billion for those, hundreds of millions of dollars, and how Provex was the exact inverse of that. So This was the sacrifice set raise for this happened at a point where nobody was flush with any money. PulseChain and PulseX was when everybody was basically rich from Hex at the top of the last cycle and had a bunch of paper gains that they basically gave up their Hex for to sacrifice. This, no one was interested in. Everybody, literally people that were already invested in PulseChain that have turned on Richard Hart and on the entire product, were calling Richard a scammer for doing this again, even though he literally beat the SEC in court, and a federal judge basically said that the sacrifice strategy of what he did was totally fine and legal. But so he ran it again. And I understand, if you don't think the token's going to do anything, then you don't make a sacrifice for it or invest in it. And that's what they did not do. I mean, so this only raised 16.5 million, which is peanuts basically compared to anything else. Provex obviously is, I don't think we want to call it like a total fork of Peer or ZK P2P, which is now called Peer, but basically a private on-ramp into crypto. And the difference is that Provex actually has this token, obviously, which Peer does not have a token. And there is a buy and burn, obviously, too, with Provex. So now we are seeing, during the first week, things were looking really bullish. There was an RH tweet that followed with all those green candles that you see. And as you can see, they have all sold off now. And we've gone below that region, which was about the 5 zeros and a 7. Or 4, I'm sorry. So I'm so used to the 5 zeros, but so we're back down to this region. Now, if you were one of the people, which all of you were able to be, that maybe joined Buck and the guys at Fiat and Fame, Buck and Dylan, if you joined their pool to sacrifice, even if you got one of the lower rates while in that pool, you are likely still up right now. I know Ewok and I are still up. I think technically our sack rate was about 4 zeros and a 4 from what I could tell when we initially were airdropped the tokens. So yeah, still up, but people who sacked directly to the Provex wallet would be down about 30-40% right now. So certainly, and this is the lowest it's really been since it launched. So I mean, when they came out, it was basically at the price that we sacrificed for. I've seen it about 5% lower than this, as you can see on the chart there, just from a couple of days ago or maybe a day ago. But this is about as low as it's been. We're getting a little bit of a bounce here. I think a lot of people are interested in buying in this region, though, because, again, we're getting very close to where the largest sacrificers break even is. So that's a pretty significant point, that 4 zeros in 4 area. So what do you make of this? Obviously, again, all the haters that are still obsessed with Richard Hart, even though they apparently don't invest in PulseChain anymore, are doing their victory laps and stuff like that. But yeah, what do you make of this sell-off? Are we going down 95% like everything else and this is dead, or are you interested in buying here, Ewok?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm ready quite to nibble at a little bit more. I still think the problem was the add of liquidity against things that maybe shouldn't have been. Again, I know it's a free market, and I know people can add liquidity, remove liquidity, tie it to whatever they want. But if you happen to notice when the momentum stopped, is when all that other stuff was paired with it. Now, I'm not just knocking on PDI. It was paired with Hex too. It was paired with Pulse. It was paired with PulseX. All of those things got paired up, and then the momentum stopped. So again, it's my recommendation to those people, if they want to see this go up, pull it, see what happens, and see if the momentum continues, or if it doesn't really do anything. I think it's worth the shot of letting it kind of do the way it was set up in the first place, to see what happens. But for right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of buy pressure, not like we were back here, right? Whenever it was just tied to USDC and Ethereum, and that was it. After all that stuff got added, and I'm pretty sure again it was right in this area, is when that happened. So, and from there it's been pretty much down. So again, I think as long as the liquidity stays, I'm not sure that a certain person would be willing to pump or try to pump everything and give opportunities for people to cash out again. There's been so much selling. Every time a market has tried to move, people dumped on it. So it was kind of a waste of funds at that point. And I think that's what you're seeing now. So just my 2 cents, but I believe that if we want this to go up, people need to remove the liquidity tied to everything else in the ecosystem. I mean, the smaller ones aren't going to matter, right? But the bigger ones that tied to PDI, the ones that tied to Hex, Pulse, and PulseX, I think should be removed.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I mean, we talked about it last week. I mean, it is a free market, and people are going to do things like that. I mean, and I said this to you last week. I mean, do you really think that Richard didn't plan that people could potentially do this? I mean, maybe he didn't think, because it was literally like the second largest Provex holder, I think. Liquidity bonded like 50,000 worth or so dollars with PDI, and I forget what else there was.
Yeah.
I think Hex was one of them, like EHEX or something, and
Yeah.
Ink, I think maybe too. Which, now that I just said that out loud, we've also seen the adjustments on the Ink inflation and EHEX pumping over the last week, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know if there's any. Actually, PDI is not doing too bad either right now. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, what do you do, I guess, if your thesis is actually correct? I don't know. But I mean, if you are Richard and you saw somebody, pairing it with, stuff. The whole point was to not really pair it with any of the tokens in the ecosystem. I forget, just like PDI or something, but it was purposely wasn't paired really significantly with Pulse, with PulseX, with Hex, because you wanted this to be paired with stables, with ETH, to have more liquidity from the beginning and make it easier to move up right now. And the reason all those other ones, the core coins, are liquidity bonded with what they are, is to make them go up aggressively when things are going up. It's just that it's been down only in crypto for a while. So I don't know. I mean, don't you think you would have planned for that? And what would you do at this point with this happening? I mean, it's not like it's all the liquidity is now tied to PDI. I mean, it's obviously still mostly with stables and Ethereum, but I don't know what could you do, I guess.
Well, there isn't a whole lot you can do other than wait. I mean, thinking that somebody's going to catch on. Now, the majority of people out there aren't as smart as Richard is, and they don't realize it. I just happened to notice that that's about when the momentum stopped. But those people that did that probably either don't care, or they're making fees on it trading. They're still making their fees. So I don't know that they would be willing to pull it. But again, I think it would be a good test to see what happens if that liquidity is removed. But I'm sure they're not watching our show either. So,
Right.
it's just, I don't know what you do. I mean, I don't know that there is any solution. Again, it being a free market, but why would you waste funds if you saw profits being rotated into other things? I mean, that's the way it was set up. The reason it was set up in the first place was to make it easy to move, and to get eyes over here. And you also notice when that didn't work, well, they pivoted to giving out a bunch of hex. So it's possible that, well, the plan had to change, and this may not do a whole lot now, or I've got to switch what I was going to do to get eyes over here to something else. So just spitballing ideas and theories out there of why things are happening the way they are. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that any of the liquidity bonding stuff is like the sole reason that it's come down right now. I mean, it's literally, we forget. I mean, it's only been out, I think, not even 2 weeks at this point. So
sure.
It's still the launch of a token. Now, yes, it is a much smaller, easier token to pump and stuff like that, but it still has only been 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
So.
And we can't forget when Hex launched. I mean, look, if we go back to this chart, and way back in the day, all of these dips were measured moves that were pretty sizable, right? Even if you look at this run up that came the whole way down here, that was 68%.
Yeah.
In 30 some days. So before it moved on to a higher level. So, you have to remember that there are dips with major gains, and this went on to do crazy things. So,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Quite a long way to go, though. I mean, here's the other thing. We don't have the actual product out yet. Now, there is Provex in beta, so people are getting idea of it. And there's some kinks that obviously have to be worked out with it. I think it's kind of the same model as we've seen with a lot of things with PulseChain and PulseX of let's get the skeleton of the idea out there. It's not going to be perfected. There's many things that we already have ready to go and can add when it makes the most sense. So I think it's that same operating idea of get a bare bones skeleton thing out there. So there is something, and the improvements come along the way to try to coincide with maybe you can also pump the token a little bit, and then of course it also has to actually launch one day too. For real. So, which we both still agree is going to happen this year. I don't know when, but I think I'd be surprised if it wasn't here by Q4 of this year. Do you think? I mean,
I think by late summer.
That's kind of what I think too. Yeah.
And then you look at this, and you zoom out here, and you look that this has only been out for 17 days. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So many opinions with it. I mean, nobody of any type can take any kind of victory lap here. I mean, but the long-term thesis, there was 16 and a half. That's what's to keep in mind. This was raised at bottom barrel prices where nobody wanted to sacrifice. Everybody was calling Richard Hart a scammer. It's honestly like the Hex setup. I mean, not exactly, but the attitude toward Richard, the amount that was raised, literally the inverse of PulseChain and PulseX. So just something to keep in mind. It doesn't mean ape into it here necessarily, but yeah, I mean, I've just already had some USDC bridged over, and I'm just literally taking little wee DCAs of it here and there. So, it's not, I think we have to get out, especially in this environment where we don't know what's up and what's down, and there's a lot of volatility. I think we have to get out of the environment of trying to ape into things and timing things correctly and stuff like that. Because yeah, you just don't know what's happening completely in this market right now. And we clearly didn't know what was happening these last 4 years. So just being careful, DCAing into anything basically, but taking stabs at it here and there. Cool. So that's kind of where we're at with Provex. I didn't really have anything else, Ewok, unless there's anything else you wanted to wrap up with here.
No, it just reminded me when we were talking about the airdrop of all the tokens. I don't know how many people remember this, but I think his name was Beatles. Created a wallet called Monarch Wallet, and Hex was one of the very first ones to do what they called ZK rollups to send a bunch of free Hex out with the launch of that Monarch wallet. I think they knew Richard somehow, and were sending out. I think they sent to 30 or 40,000 Monarch holders or Monarch wallet people a bunch of free Hex too, and it did well. It did very well for them. So I forgot to bring that up when we were talking about the airdrop of all the Hex. But if you're in the chat and you remember Monarch wallet and Rob Beatles, drop a something in there. I don't know.
Okay, drop a peach symbol in there or something.
Drop a peach.
Right. Well, I guess that wraps us up then. So yeah, it's been something that we have been discussing as far as the future of this program for the last couple of weeks, just because, again, as we stated at the beginning of the show, if you want to pull the chart down now, Ewok, you can go ahead and get rid of that. But, we've been discussing, just because both of us are very busy, IRL, just doing stuff in real life and everything. And this market just hasn't been what we thought it would be over the last few years. So we've been discussing just the future of the show. And I know it seems like, well, you guys only do a show once a week. Why, what's the big deal? Believe it or not, even making time to do that is very difficult sometimes, and we love doing it. Obviously, we love engaging with you guys every single week. We're not going anywhere in terms of, crypto and the ecosystem and stuff, but at least for the, mid to longish term future, we're going to be stopping the stream for a little while. So we're not going to go anywhere. I mean, I think there's probably potential that each one of us could make appearances on other people's streams and stuff like that, which I would very much enjoy doing. But in terms of, we're going to be here every single week doing a committed show, we're probably going to have to hang that idea up for a little while. So it has been awesome for the last 4.5 years. Enjoyed talking to all of you guys. And yeah, I mean, I could go on forever, and I don't think it'll be goodbye forever. So anyway, do you have any thoughts on that, Ewok?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's just say this. It wasn't a complete joint decision. One of us was kind of more in favor of this than the other. So that's kind of Ewok and I's battle to have off air. So it's kind of how it is. So appreciate all of you guys. Hex Girl, Bitfinesse, a lot of good stuff from you tonight, Bitfinesse. You made me laugh quite a lot. Duke of Booze, Frank, Wank Fright, that'd be Frank Wright, I believe. Viper Styles, I think I already said. Yep. Checks My Pulse, Valiant Low Key, great stuff from you guys. I know I'm missing people. Tam was here earlier. Good stuff from who was it? The Wesley Whips. Yeah, good stuff from you. There's a lot of good stuff from you guys tonight. So we love y'all. We're not going anywhere in terms of, being involved in this ecosystem and stuff like that. I don't know when we'll see you in this capacity, in the future here, but hopefully not too long. We'll kind of do a show when we can and stream with people when we can. So it has been awesome. Love you guys. Enjoy the foreseeable future here in crypto. Let's hope things turn around very, very soon. And yeah, signing off for, I'm not sure until when, but for a Crypto Ewok, this has been Bon Voyage, Boy Crypto. Thank you guys for watching the Creed of Crypto. We'll see you guys.
See ya.